Okay, so here's another lovely financial maths question by the looks of it. Mr. Stewart would like to turn his SGD 10,000, so that looks like a present value. That's how much I'm going to invest into SGD 20,000. That's final value. So present value and final value we have 10 years. That's n, the number of years. Okay, and what interest rate? So it looks like we're trying to solve for R, and we've got two parts to it. So let's do part one here, and let's just write down the formula. Final value is present value into 1 plus r over 100k to the n times by k. And let's just get ready for part 2. Final value equals present value into 1 plus r over 100k into k times by n. Okay, and let's just separate that. So let's do part 1 then. So the final value is 20,000. Present value is 10,000. 1 plus r, we're trying to find 100. So for part 1, it's compounded yearly. So that's just times by 1k is 1, and then 1 times by for the k, and then n is 10. And that's it really. So we've got this equation to solve, and I mean, for sure you can solve it using regular algebra. You know, you can rearrange this, you can unpack and solve for r. But of course, you know, we've got a calculator, and we can just go straight to nsolve. So let's get out nsolve, and do you know what I'm going to do? Because I've got it on screen already, I can just go back and bring this down, and then kind of adjust the inputs. But if this is the first video you're watching, let's go through it properly. Menu, algebra, solving an algebraic equation, and numerical solve. And we just type in the exact equation: 20,000 equals 10,000 times by, open bracket, 1 plus, and r is what we're trying to, 1 plus, r is what we're trying to solve for. I'll type in exactly r, and then I'll press the fraction button. See the fraction there? And then this is 100 times by 1, which is just 100. And then I'm using my side arrows and then my power button here, and this is 1 times by 10, which is 10. It's compounded yearly, so it's just that one payment per year. Okay. And what you'll find is if you press enter now, it doesn't work because there's too few arguments, because nsolve demands that when you finished writing your equation, you must press comma and then the variable you're solving for. So if you press X and press enter, it still doesn't work because there is no X defined as the variable. Okay, so instead of having to type that again, press up arrow, enter, and now just go back and repeat that. Replace the X with an R. So I'm solving the equation for R, and there you go. The magic happens that we have the interest rate we need is 7.1. Sorry, that was my bad. So that's 7.12. Don't know what I was thinking there. 7.18% if we round to 3 significant figures, or maybe around 2 decimal places. Okay, 7.18. That's compounded yearly. So let's turn to our second question now. And the difference from the second question is that they were compounded daily. So you got to think about compounded daily. So it's so daily, think 365 days in the year. So it's when you say it's compounded yearly, compounded monthly, compounded weekly, compounded daily, you've always got to compare it with how many payments in 1 year. So compounded daily is the 365 days in a year, so you're going with that. So let's go for it. 20,000 final value equals present value into 1 plus r over 365 times 100 to the 365, that's the k. K is the number of compounding periods, and that's 365 times by 10. Okay, and again we can work out these little bits individually if we want, and then type them in again, but we can just reach for nsolve. So let's just go up, grab nsolve, and then just tweak inside. So in here is 365 times by, and up here is 365 times by. Okay, so if we've got more compounding periods, do you think we'll need a higher interest rate or less? and it says no solution found. Okay, so I wonder if our calculator is at the limits of its functioning. Okay, so any time when we've nsolve is broken, because look, just check to see if we've entered anything correct. 20,000 equals 10,000 into 1 plus r over 365 times 100, correct? Over 365 times 10, correct? Anytime we've got an nsolve that says no solution found, then we've got to think, is the calculator broken? And maybe we have to try a slightly different way of solving it, because we should be able to solve this. Okay, so let's resort to an algebra solution. Okay, so let's go back to our screen here. If we divide both sides by 10,000, that will leave this as a 2. Oops. There's a 2 on this side. And this is 1 plus r over, and I'm going to just work this out, the 365 times 00, 36500, and a bracket here, and this is 10 years, so that's 3650. So let me just take this, and I'm going to put it onto the next page. Okay, let's just copy it, onto the next page, paste it, okay. So look, we've got two things to do. We could go for nsolve again here, because we've tidied it up a bit, and I'm wondering if that 20,000 and 10,000 may have had a problem. So let's go for it again and see what might happen. Why not? Up, up, bring it down, and this is now 2. This is, well, it's just 1, isn't it? We can get rid of it. And this is 36500, and this is 365. And we can see if that works. No solution found. So we are a little bit stuffed here. So unfortunately, we will just have to go and crunch it out manually by hand. So let's go back to our calculation page, and let's just think about where the variable is that we're trying to solve for. So here's r here. You know, it's wrapped up in a bracket. So the usual trick is to undo outside the brackets first. So the first thing I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get rid of this power of 3650. Now, if I had 2 equals r squared, the squared would come across and do the opposite. And so you'd have r equals 2, the second root. So we can do the same here. 2 equals 1 plus r over 36500. And the 3650 comes over and becomes 3650 root. So let's just see if we can get my calculator. Let's have a look here. Oh, and I will delete that because I need the button. There you go. So 36500 root of 2. And let's have a look. Okay, so we can do the 3650 root of 2. And we can see that that is 1.0018992137, and that's equal to 1 plus r over 36500. Now you see this guy here? I'm going to do something a little bit cheeky. I'm going to call this value a. Now go back to your calculator, go back, bring back down that massive long number, and I'm going to go control var, but above the var is stop with an arrow. I'm going to store this to memory A. So we've actually got the full accuracy of that answer now. So we're going to call this A, and now we're going to solve the equation using A. So how to rearrange? A minus 1 equals to r over 36,500. So therefore r equals 36,500 into A minus 1. So let's just type that in the calculator, 36,500 times by open bracket A, and you see how it's gone bold there, because it recognises that A has a value attached to it, and then subtract 1, close bracket, and then press enter, boom, and we've got it. So here we've finally solved it. nsolve broke down, but we've solved it manually by hand, 6.93%. So if you compare this value now with the previous value, so previous value was 7.18%. That's if we invested and we got the interest every year for 10 years. And now we need a slightly lower rate, 6.93% if it's compounded daily. Okay, it's a tough one that, I've never seen any questions that you can't solve with nsolve, but it looks like the big numbers here kind of just broke down and we weren't able to solve it. Okay.